Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video, I want to respond back to a comment that I got. I don't know when you're gonna see this video. By the time you see it, it would have been posted months ago, but I got this comment maybe about a week or two ago, and I know that this person was coming from a place of innocence. So let me preface this video, as you already saw from the title, what I'm going to be talking about. I am a married woman, okay? I have a husband. My husband is Japanese. I am almost 30 years old. I have been through much more than most 30-year-olds have been through. I've had more life experiences than the average 60-year-old person has. More than most people have in the course of their lifetime. Both between bad choices that I made, unfortunate things that happened to me, and of course just the fact that I live abroad. I've been here for nearly a decade in Japan. I'm an American. I'm an African American at that. African American woman. So many different experiences. So much, what do you call it, intersectionality, where different things cross over each other in my life. I've been many places, I've done many things, wore many hats, worked many jobs. I've seen and done it all, and I've had plenty of bad experiences. With that said, including being a YouTuber and a blogger, I have built a very thick and tough skin over time, and I don't really care very much about what people think about me, which is also why I'm willing to come on camera looking crazy. Now, I don't look really crazy right now. I mean, a little bit, not as flattering as I would like to. I just washed my hair. I just, conditioned it, and I'm letting my hair air dry. I'm wearing it half up, half down. But anyway, you can probably see some white cream left over from my hair product. But anyway, back on subject. All of this to say, I have gotten used to dealing with both hate comments, backhanded compliments, and things that people really think are compliments, which I feel like this goes into a separate category from backhanded. I feel like backhanded compliments are where people, they think they're complimenting you, but they're also explaining that people or something like this is normally a bad thing. Whereas I have people that are subscribed to me that think they really like me, love me, whatever, and they say ignorant stuff. So long story short, I'm just saying, I don't need your validation. I don't need your opinions. I don't care. But I do want to address this for a few reasons. One, I get paid off of this. Why would I not want to address my comments? Two, let me just remind you, you don't have to be a jerk to get me to reply to you. Like, literally, if you leave a comment with a video idea that's worthy of a video, I will make that video. It might not be tomorrow, but you'll see it sometime over the course of my lifetime, hopefully. It'll get published on YouTube. You don't have to be mean to me, I promise you. I normally reply, I won't say all of my comments, but most of my comments. Sometimes I just take breaks. Sometimes I don't feel like a comment is worthy of a reply, or I might just like it, heart it, whatever. Doesn't make a difference. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I heavily engage with my, subscribers. My regular watchers that aren't subbed to me for some strange reason, I talk to you guys. If you're on Patreon, same thing goes to you. I've literally gotten to the point where I've become friends with people that were subscribed to me, where I've talked to you on the phone, I've texted you, I've played games with you, etc. If you're one of those people, shout out to you. Thank you. You've made my life a million times better. But that's not the purpose of this video. I'm getting off subject. All of this to say, I don't know whether this person meant this in a malicious way, so let me get that out of the way. I don't want you to attack this person if you find their comment. I don't want you to assume people that say this in the future mean bad, but I would like for you to, not just on my channel, but other people's channels too, or even if you're in conversation with someone, correct them. Let them understand that while, yes, this is an old way of thinking, or yes, you might do this for that reason, or someone that you know, it doesn't mean that the same thing applies to me. So, finally, let's get to the comment. Nearly 5 minutes into the video, or 3 minutes 57 seconds. Okay, I want you guys to understand. Again, this person, don't attack them. They left me a comment loosely basically saying, the longer that I've been, watching your videos for a minute, and, the longer that I watch your content, and I look back, I can see how being in Japan has, changed your style, referring to the way that I dress and my hair. And the comment was a little more detailed than that, but long story short, they were basically implying the fact that, again, they directly implied that by me being in Japan, they essentially said I'm trying to look Japanese, and that being in Japan made me change my style, my everything else. And that is partially true. However, I'd have to also completely disagree with that. For starts, comments like this have been addressed inside of at least one other video, if not a couple of them, because I made a video where I was responding back to another video that I made where I was talking about, why I don't like the A and BW community, Asian man, black woman community, and I went into the detail about that. I will never understand the outrage over that, and specifically that it was from dark-skinned women. But then again, I find it funny too that dark-skinned women seem to be the biggest defenders of, white men, black women, white men, what do you call that, BWWM? Gosh, these little, it's confusing. Long story short, black women, white men communities, okay? I wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. For starters, I have nothing to do with that community, so I'm not going to, bring myself into that. But what I will say is this. I just find it really sad and weird that the people that literally deal with the most colorism, the most racism, have the most hate for me, telling them stuff that has more to do with them than it has to do with me. So I'm not going to go into a video on that again. I don't hate dark-skinned girls. I'm not going through all that shit with y'all. Make up whatever type of crap you want to. As I said before, when people don't like you, they make up stuff and they exaggerate what you say. They have selective hearing and they twist your words to justify their unreasonable hate for you, in a nutshell. So for example, what I just said, somebody can go and make another video. Oh, Ren hates dark-skinned women. Did you hear what she said? She said dark-skinned women XYZ. It's like, that's not what I said. I said, watch the video, not going to go into detail about that. I think I even left a comment on that video. I've addressed this several times, including on Patreon. But I found it funny that when I made the video, I was talking about, and at that time I was in a relationship with a Japanese man, Asian man. I was saying why I don't put them on a pedestal, and I admitted to even, fetishizing after them when I was in high school. Thankfully, I was a child. Some of you all are grown doing this, but I ain't finna get into that. That's between you and Jesus. I don't care about who you F, who you obsess over, whatever. You licking, BTS photos at night and crap before you go to bed, and I'm not gonna get involved in that. Okay, that's between you and Jesus. What I'm talking about is, I think it's scary and sad how somebody that's messaging you, talking to you, even if you know it's just going to be a fling, a one-night stand, somebody that thinks racist, hateful, ignorant thoughts towards you. This is a male problem, predominantly male problem of any given race, but specifically dealing with, when I say any given race, I really mean outside of black people, dealing with white and Asian people in particular. But shoot, I'll throw in any other race that's not black. I'm going to keep it real with you. I ain't, sugarcoating stuff, But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, they will literally kiss your ass, lick it too, and you can reject them later on and you'll get hit with racist messages. And it's like, okay, I'm a gorilla, I'm a monkey, I'm an ape, I'm all of these, racial slurs, whatever, nigger, X, Y, and Z. But you had, and mind you, thank God I've never actually slept with somebody that did this. But I literally had people that I was willing to date. Which means that, if I'm willing to date you, I'm willing to potentially sleep with you upon me liking you after we meet. If you think about it. So, just thinking about the fact that, okay, me nicely saying, hey, I'm sorry, I can't make it to this. I'm not going to be able to get there in time. I don't have the money to do whatever. This is back when I was stupid. I used to actually pay for men, okay? Not just for me, but I sometimes pay for the guy too. Stupid me. Or even going 50-50 on bills and whatnot. Which, when you go to a restaurant, unless y'all order the exact same thing, it's never really 50-50. Because if you're paying half the bill, you're paying for part of the other person's meal. But we're not going to get into that. So, I would get hit with these messages. And instead of who you would think would be the ones that, experience this more than anyone, nope, dark-skinned women were the ones that, freaked out over that. And they just cannot fathom. How dare you say this? I lived in Korea for X amount of years. Asian men love me. None of my students ever. We're not even going to get into that stuff. That's a whole nother video. If you want to argue me about that, come into, send me an email, get in my comment section. I'll make a video addressing you specifically if you need that sort of attention. I have other videos that already talk about that. So go through my channel, find the video, you can bitch there in the comment section. I'm not going to waste my time in this video any further. So, my issue is, sorry, I got all over the place, but y'all love my rants. I didn't write a script, as you can tell. I never write scripts, really. But my issue is, it's backhanded. And I can't even say it's really backhanded. I feel like it came from a more innocent place than a backhanded compliment. It was more like oh wow, you've been in Japan for so long. Wow, things have really changed for you. Instead of oh, you're cute for a black girl type thing. It wasn't like that. It came off, this is how I interpret it, okay? And I get what they're trying to say. But my problem is, for starts, literally my very first video, if I recall, maybe I'm wrong, that was uploaded, I literally have straight hair with bangs. That was before I came to Japan. Secondly, I tend to wear my hair curly at some point of time throughout each year, including right now. I did it pretty much all of last year. So there's that. And then on top of that, I hate this like little stupid unwritten rule where in order to prove that I'm okay with my blackness or that I am trying to be a black person or an American, whatever you want to call it. Sorry guys, my nose is itchy. I'm required to look black when talking about black issues. And so I'm bringing up that Asian man, black woman video because that's where I got a lot of the detractors, whatever you want to call it, from that video. Dark-skinned black women in my comment section, you hate Asian, you hate Asian men or whatever, but you trying to look like an Asian girl. Even if that was my goal, how does that take away from what I'm saying? Do you take away from people like Beyonce who wear blonde wigs? And I don't care what that girl says. She definitely has bleached her skin, lightened it, whatever. She's not alone. Does that take away from her talking about black issues? No. We can be real with ourselves. Yes, black people can have every hair color, every texture, X, Y, and Z pretty much under the sun. I agree with that. However, let's keep it real. 9 out of 10 black people, I'd say even more than that, do not have blonde hair, do not have blue, green, whatever color eyes. There's going to be somebody in my comment section, well, I do my good for you, ho. Okay, 2 claps for you. I've said this before. My nieces and nephews, they're black by your definition. They're technically biracial. And with that said, they have blue eyes and blonde hair. My niece doesn't even look like she got an ounce of black inside of her. If you see her walking down the street, she looked like a female. Well, not in the face, I assume, but she looks like a female version of Logic. Okay? With that said, that's the exception, not the rule. And in this situation, what I'm really trying to get at is that has absolutely nothing to do with what's being said. Even if Beyonce wanted to be a white woman, like legitimately, which I don't believe that is the case, her preferring to have lighter skin or blonde hair, while sure, she might be chasing after so-called Eurocentric beauty standards per se, because that's what the world has set for beauty, and if you think about it, why would you not want to be perceived as beautiful to the world? And on top of that, let's also be real. Based off of what's seen as attractive, unattractive, etc., it also, how can I put it? For lack of a better word, manipulates, dictates what we want to see in ourselves, what we are satisfied with as beauty. For example, it used to be where you wanted to have a very slim, thin body. You did not want to have wide hips. It was embarrassing. We had devices, literally, look up as seen on TV products. I remember, don't ask why, when I was a teenager, I was not pregnant, but I wanted to be, going to Babies R Us with my boyfriend at that time. And I remember seeing they had some sort of as seen on TV product that was made to slim down your hips after having a baby. That seems like a joke now, fast forward, in today's time. But that was the standard of beauty back then. You wanted to have a slim body. Having wide hips was a bad thing. It was not a good thing. Now, we got girls getting ant booties and diaper booties and whatnot, spending their whole year's salary, working at Amazon and Walmart, but somehow got a BBL. Okay, with that said, beauty standards have changed, have they not? At first, people wanted really thin, super, pencil-like eyebrows. Then the trend came with having these super thick, hairy, masculine looking eyebrows, which I guess is still going on now. I've never arched my eyebrows, never been into that whole thing. I plucked my eyebrows a little bit long time ago, but never never got them professionally done. I don't participate inside the thick brow trim, whatever. I just try to fill my brows in a little bit. My brows are small and they're very light, even though they look a little bit darker on camera, but that's another story. So, yeah. That has nothing to do with what's being said or what's going on. Regardless of how Beyonce looks, her addressing issues with race still exists. If a white person called her the N-word, does it make a difference whether or not Beyonce had blonde hair or not? No. She still, hurled a racial slur at her, did he not? Okay, that's that. That's what, facts are about, not emotions, not opinions. For example, it doesn't matter if I had, bone straight, 40-inch black wig on what, as y'all call them, Chinese bangs, which they're not Chinese. I don't know where this whole thing came from, but long story short, had that on, and I had on giant circle lenses, and I was wearing some sort of, schoolgirl uniform when I made that video. What I said still remains, because it's not up for debate. I have messages proving that Japanese men, Asian men period, have sent me racial slurs, ignorant messages, Asian men as a whole, not just Japan, I'm talking about Japan because I live here, but have assumed that I was going to be a certain way because I am a black and or American woman. Usually both. That is factual. They have literally admitted this, and I've had it happen time and time again. It's not a rare one-off thing. That's factual. Trying to come up with fallacious arguments, basically saying, oh, well, you know, you're trying, hey, look over here. She's trying to look Japanese. What does that have to do with what happened to me? Absolutely nothing. Not to mention, like I said, this whole dumb thing where if you wear a hairstyle that you're not naturally born with, this only applies to black people, by the way. We are not allowed to wear makeup. We're not allowed to change our hair in any way, shape, or form. Don't do anything to your skin complexion. Anything that you do, it makes you a hater towards your own race. You're not comfortable being black. You want to be white. You want to be Asian. You want to be Hispanic, whatever. And black Hispanics, shut the fuck up. We're not talking to y'all right now. So anyway, because I know some people go, black people can be Latinas too. Shut up. I don't care. Anyway, back on subject. Sorry, y'all, because God, that just irritates me. I don't know who does it more. I feel like it's everyone, because I've seen older people do it too. But y'all know what I'm talking about, how when you make a point and some smart ass has to go in the comments, well, actually, I'm both, or actually, I'm whatever. For example, I saw I mentioned with the blonde hair and blue eyes thing. Like, there's going to be some black person that's going to say, well, actually, I have naturally straight blonde hair, and I have dark blue eyes, and I'm black, and I'm from Africa. Good for you. How many black people do you know that looks like you? There definitely aren't, several million to the point where we can say that this is like a, 3% of the population even type of thing. Stop playing games with me, okay? For example, another one. This is going to hurt some people's feelings. Let's keep it real. Most black people have short hair. When I say short, I'm including even my hair texture. Now, mind you, my hair is shrunk because I washed my hair. When my hair is straightened, it's a lot longer. However, my hair is only about bra strap length. Being realistic, my hair is somewhere between medium to short for a white person. White and Asian people and Hispanic people can grow, when I say Latina, y'all know what I'm talking about Afro-Latinas. They can typically grow hair that is much longer. Nobody's going to be like, oh my gosh, your hair is so long and beautiful. Unless, it's really shiny, luscious or whatever. Black people can have, super dry, clearly unkept hair. But because it's long, people will praise you for it. Okay, it's a cultural difference. We understand that because you are a different ethnicity, something is more rare for you. For example, in Japan, they think I have big eyes. I get compliments on my eyes all the time. But you want to know what? I don't have big eyes. It's so white, or, I'd say even a Hispanic person or a black person, whatever, they'll laugh at you. In fact, people oftentimes, used to think that I was biracial or Asian or whatever because of how my eyes look. So, anyway, back on subject. I've had bangs since I was in elementary school. The first time that I ever got bangs, I think I was in like 5th or 6th grade. I was about 10 or 11 years old. I had no interest in Japan back then. I watched Sailor Moon, but I had no idea that Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z were even Japanese TV shows. I thought they were American cartoons. I didn't know where Japan was on a map. I didn't care about Asia. No interest whatsoever. In fact, what motivated me to get bangs, again, because I eventually let them grow out, the first time that I got them, I was inspired by an Egyptian classmate that I had. Yeah, Egyptian. Not white. African. And also, I should remind you, too, in case you don't realize this, bangs actually came from Africa, not Asia. I made a video talking about that. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead, look it up on Wiki. Now I can keep it real with you. Just as that is so, Asians are known for being the ones that wear them the most for obvious reasons. Most Asians have very straight and either fine or thick hair. Most more on the fine side. For example, it wasn't until maybe the 90s, early 2000s or whatever, that there were finally tools, and even now some people struggle, that could actually help Asians with getting their hair to hold a curl, etc. They normally struggle with things like this. Okay, they have a different hair type from a black person. In order to keep your hair from looking, volumeless, lacking volume, lifeless, not looking, stylish, cool, whatever, to differentiate your hair, make yourself look different, whatever, people started cutting bangs. Not to mention, same reason why I like to wear bangs, they frame your face nicely. I have gained so much weight over the past year, and with that said, it's also gone into my face. I've always had, chubby cheeks, whatever, period. But I'm just telling, keeping it real with you. Bangs make my face look more slender. They look good on me. I look better, in my opinion, with bangs than without them. Whether my hair is straight or curly, I normally, prefer to have some sort of bangs. Including right now. I like having these little side bangs or whatever. Again, kind of doing the same thing. Versus having my hair pulled completely back. So, that's all a whole nother story. But I hate this assumption that anytime you do something, it's assuming that you're trying to fit in and be like the people where you're at. But let's also keep it real. There's nothing wrong with doing that either. Naturally, people want to do what other people are doing where they are. For example, as a black person, why are you wearing weaves and straight hair? The reality is, you have been trained and conditioned to believe that straight hair is better, looks better, easier to manage, etc. Sure, that is a heavy influence, but there's also the flip side of it where you realize having straight hair makes your hair easier to take care of, in a way, because you don't have to do as much with it. When your hair is natural, depending on your hair type, it can either be more work or less work. Technically, when my hair is natural, it's a lot less work. All I have to do is wet my hair, throw some cream into it. Whereas when it's straightened, I need to, blow dry my hair, or I need to straighten my hair and brush it out and, do this, that, and the other. Technically, I'm manipulating it a little bit more. But at the same time, I can also argue that I do less because I don't have to do as much manipulation to my hair because it's already straight. Just run a flat iron over it a few times. Don't necessarily need to brush through it and comb it out, etc. Which I didn't do that today either. I just literally wet my hair and just put product in it. But that's all a whole other story. You get what I'm trying to say. People have preferences to what they do and don't like as they get older, period, regardless of what was seen as cool and style, etc. Which is why a lot of you all have no problem with these natural hair movements, etc. Because now you're adults. So you don't care about what your classmates think or what anybody else thinks X, Y, and Z. You're grown. You're going to work. There's nobody to try to fit in with, bully you, etc. Which is also why a lot of you that are now grown and you realize how much things cost, you don't necessarily buy name brand groceries, even though you probably were guilty of bullying people when you were going to school for having generic stuff. For my non-American audience, I talked about this before, but in the U.S., I don't know how things are now. I haven't been there in a long time. If you're in the U.S. right now, you have children, please let me know. But in America, should I even say adults kind of do it too? Like, we have jokes and memes talking about, don't invite me to your party if you're going, bring generic, generic pop and whatnot, soda for you New Yorkers or California people, whatever. Soda, what we call it in Chicago. Oh my God, mix it up. Pop, what we call it in Chicago. Y'all New York people calling it soda and whatnot. Pop, okay? If you're on my channel, we call that pop. So that's Coca-Cola, any type of, soft drinks. So we don't care now that we're grown. Most of us don't, but some of us do. But you cared a lot when you were a child. I was so embarrassed to have, Great Value or whatever, all these, generic brands, Shista, whatever, generic brand soda, if I'd had something like that, or their generic chips, I forgot the names of them now. But pulling that out was embarrassing. Like, if you had generic stuff, it was better for you to bring it in a Ziploc bag so nobody knew what brand it was. You did not want to come to school with a lunch that had generic items, which is really stupid because, while some of our lunch food, if you got hot lunch, was name brand, a lot of it was just generic food. For example, y'all don't know who made them damn pieces of them cheese, mozzarella, cheese, bread, stick, whatever things. And then on top of that, the dumb idea that you were bullied for bringing your own lunch. It seemed more embarrassing than the ghetto kids whose mama was on Section 8, couldn't afford to buy, didn't have the time to even make you a lunch. But somehow I should feel ashamed that my mother packed me a lunch. Meanwhile, your mom, who doesn't even pay for her own ghetto apartment, living on Section 8, got food stamps, and you have free lunch because you're poor. You're bullying me, and my mama is a fucking registered nurse. She's a nurse manager at that. But that's the type of time that we lived in. That's the culture that we have. It's very different. Some cultures, for example, like Japan, bullying over food is not a thing to my understanding from what I've observed with being a teacher. Not to mention, Japan doesn't really have a lot of generic food. And the generic food that does exist, everybody eats it. I've never seen or heard about bullying from that. I don't know about how things go with clothes, but even then, I know to some extent there has to be some form of bullying. As far as, they bully, don't get me wrong. I'm talking about bullying specifically, hear me out, specifically over food and specifically over clothes. I remember being at a Christian private school with white people. And it was a white person that, I think it was a white girl. She made like a snarky remark talking about how she doesn't buy her clothes from the same place they get groceries from. Referring to Walmart. Because me and one of my classmates that I was friends with, another white girl, it was only me, my brother, and I think 2 other kids, like in a younger class. So basically it's 4 black kids in the whole school, including myself and my brother. And so she's really making a backhanded, not even backhanded, a snarky remark towards me and my friend, because she was jealous. And it's like, okay, you're mad at me and my friend realizing that we have the same polo t-shirt, because we have to wear polos at the school. Meanwhile, you're feeling cocky about yourself when you're not friends with either of us. You're older than both of us. She was in high school, or junior high school, I think. And then on top, she was in high school, because I was in junior high school back then. Then on top of that, if that's not enough, okay, you're wearing what, a Hollister polo? Like, bitch, it don't cost that damn much more. What, my mom paid maybe $10, $15 for mine. Your shirt probably cost $40 or $50. Ooh, it's double the price. Yeah, like you got a Louis Vuitton polo or some shit, and you ain't even pay for it. That's a whole nother story. Shoot, your mama sucking your daddy dick to afford that shit, but that's a whole nother story. We're not gonna talk about that. So I'm like 25 minutes into this. I'm enjoying myself, y'all. I'm sorry, but yeah, it just amazes me how people, I don't know, I'm getting off subject. People can't think for themselves. And then on top of that, people assume that everything that you do is a matter of you trying to be like someone else, instead of it being that you just genuinely like something. For example, this is a controversial hot take, but I said this before. While I can admit, yes, a big part of why we have, this whole, light skin, light colored eyes, light colored hair, etc., craze around the world is because of colonialism. White people. That's facts. It's the truth. That's facts. And the same thing goes for Japan. While no, they did not deal with them. I mean, they might as well have had a colonial period after the U.S., won that war. Because, do your own research. I took Japanese history. Do your research. Look it up. Look at what happened in Japan after they white flagged the war, okay? Look at all the changes that the U.S. did to Japan. Japan was a whole other place. And it was thanks to the U.S. doing that we have Hello Kitty and Goku and Sailor Moon, all their little stupid shows that y'all got out now. You can kind of thank the U.S. for that. So, back on subject. It's a hot take, but the reality is, you would still probably like those same things even if white people never did that. It would probably only look very little different. Now, I'm not talking about Japan as a country. I'm talking about Eurocentric beauty. And the reason why I say that is, think about it. Between white people and technically Asians, Asians are the majority of the world. So in this case, we're going to consider white people as a minority. White, Hispanic, which we're not going to get into that part. Basically white and black people. They look vastly different from Asians. Likewise, as a white person, black and Asian people look vastly different from you. And Hispanic people. But like I said, we're going to keep this simple. We're speaking black and white, because I know that you can be white and be Latina, and I ain't getting into all of that shit with you, okay? Long story short. People find rarity beautiful. Things that are not common are seen as beautiful. For example, in the black community, why is there so much craze and obsession with wanting to have, 3C hair? Even so-called natural wigs and weaves, what are they normally? They're normally 3-type hair. 3B, 3C, even 4A. It is a lot harder to find 4C hair when you're trying to buy weaves and wigs. That's just facts. Why? Not because there's a lack of black people to necessarily buy them, but they don't want them. So it goes back into what I just said. There is actually a lack of people wanting to buy them. They don't want to wear that. It's not seen as beautiful. It's not desirable. Why? Because most black people have 4B, 4C hair. I'd even argue 4A. 3C, 3B, 3A type hair is normally reserved to either A, white people, B, Latinos, or number 3, C, biracial people. It is a more rare hair texture for a fully black person that is not biracial. Normally, it implies that you are mixed race, or you are simply not black. That is what makes it desirable. Same thing with light skin. And I'm not talking about light skin like, it's dark summer right now, but y'all know, y'all seen how my complexion looks. I'm not talking about light skin like me. I'm talking about really light skin, like as y'all call it, what is it, high yellow, whatever. That type of complexion. But honestly, even my own complexion. Most black men, and even black women, I would argue, but I say men are more big on the complexion thing than women are. They prefer light-skinned women. Why? Yes, of course, a lot of it can be rooted in the fact of slavery colonialism. But again, my hot take, this problem would still exist even without it. Because the reality is, it is more rare for a black person to have skin that is not dark. Dark by black standards, meaning that your skin is not beyond brown. Most black people have very dark complexions, or they at least have dark brown complexions. Having anything between caramel to, lighter complexion, being like high yellow, or even lighter than that, where, I don't know what y'all call these things, you get what I'm trying to say, where you look like, you can arguably even pass for a white person just based off of your complexion, or a Latina girl, whatever. That's desirable because it's more rare. That's just facts. Nobody wants to hear this. I said this before during the live stream. Ice Spice. No hate or shade towards her. But let's keep it real. Give that girl dark skin. Video would never have made it viral. Definitely wouldn't be where she is now. She doesn't see it that way. But you know what she benefits from? A combination of both pretty privilege and the fact that she's light skinned. Having a proportionate body, fat ass, breasts, whatever. There's plenty of black women that have that. Nothing special. Who cares? You could even argue it's just, she's pretty. That's part of it. But the reality is her complexion. That's what gives her praise. Especially with her having, the little afro thing she got going on. Sure, it's not 4C hair, but you get what I'm trying to say. Not desirable hair texture, right? But you put it on a light-skinned girl, it's looked at differently. Now, mind you, Ice Spice is biracial, but you get what I'm trying to say. Long story short, you can definitely say that, I won't say you could definitely say, but this is my hot take, and I'm sure most people, if you're being real with yourself, take a step back before you get argumentative. Think about what I'm saying. Even the most so-called black and proud whatever people, the reality is if you get off of social media and think for yourself, you find rarity to be attractive. Something that is not common. That can be more influenced and more encouraged based off of your surroundings and environment. That can make you desire to, want to be something or to like something more because society tells you to like it. But it's also heavily your own personal opinion, experience, and want. Because you recognize this is not a common trait. For example, tall men. The average height of a man is really, not that much off. But, a few inches shy of 6 feet, about 5'10". However, why do women want a man that is 6 feet, 6'2", etc.? Why? Because it's rare. Yes, there's other reasons, protectiveness, masculine, whatever. But why do we find it that way? Why is it so highly sought after and desired? So much so that there are women, we would rather have a guy, for a lot of us, this ain't me, but rather have a guy that's 6 feet tall and a bum than a guy that's 5'5" and rich. I have to think about it maybe. But you get what I'm trying to say. Look, I don't even fuck with short niggas, but you get what I'm trying to say. Look, I'm married. Like I said, I'm married. But I'm talking about my time beforehand. So, that's the reason why it's a rare thing. Same thing goes for men. All women have, the same body parts. You got a thing at a thing. Look, you got a fleshlight. And you got 2 pillows. We all got the same thing. Who cares? But what differentiates you? Your beauty, right? What do men look for? They typically prefer a woman that is more on the petite side, both meaning your weight and your height. If a man can choose, they normally will prefer that their woman is 5'5" or under. If you were to ask the average man to give an exact height, I imagine that it hovers somewhere between about 5'2" to 5'4" being max. That's just facts. You ask men how much they want their woman to weigh, I imagine that the average man would say that they prefer that she is under 140 pounds. I'm speaking for in the U.S., not abroad. However, before you get your little feelings, say, my man like me, shut up, your man lying to you. If your man can choose, build a woman. Most men are not going to, pump air into that thing up to being 300, 250 pounds, whatever. And look, I'm there myself. I'm not speaking to make myself feel good. I'm telling you the truth. Men like what is rare. Are most women in the US, for example, we're not going to talk about Asia, 5 feet tall, 5'2", whatever? Because see, there's nothing that girls don't know. A lot of guys don't want a girl that's too short. So there's things being too short. Especially for taller guys. Normally, for most tall men, they don't, especially like a guy over 6 feet, they oftentimes don't want their woman to be shorter than like 5'2", 5'3". That's like the minimum for them. But normally the taller the guy is, a lot of them will say that they want their woman to be like about 5'4". For example, my husband, he's not the tallest man in the world. He's 6 feet tall. However, for him, he actually prefers that his woman is about my height. So, hey, it worked out for me. I happen to be the height that he wants. I've dated other guys where, you know, honestly, if they were to choose themselves, they prefer that I was shorter. It's just the reality. So, and again, being here in Asia, it's a completely different world. I'm considered borderline tall. I'm just 1 centimeter off from, 2 centimeters off from being model height. So, anyway, just let you know, in Japan, once you get to be about 5'5", you're tall. You're tall. But, you're not freakishly tall. You're just tall. So, anyway, the average height for a woman here is, I think, 158 centimeters. I'm 162-ish. I think I'm 163. So I'm just going to say 163. I'm 163 centimeters. And so with that said, I'm basically 5'4". So with that said, I'm 2 inches taller than the average Japanese woman. So it's the equivalent of dating a 5'10" guy versus dating a 6 foot tall guy. Not really that big of a difference. Mostly you can't tell unless you pull out the measuring tape. Unless you happen to be up there in height yourself as a woman, which most of us in the U.S. are not. The average height in the U.S. is like 5'4", 5'5". So most of you can't really tell the difference. So, and then plus, like, wearing shoes, heels, etc. Sorry guys, my back itch. Not get into all of that. But let me just quickly say this. People can wear and like styles without wanting to be another race. Also, it would be weird to live in a different country and for it to not influence you. I said this before. If you're living in the U.S., naturally, you like what's in style in the U.S. It goes from your makeup to the way that you wear your hair to the clothes that you wear. It's how you guys determine what is or isn't in style. It's why you wear your eyebrows the way you do as a woman. It's why all of y'all started wearing these glue-down wigs and whatnot instead of doing sew-ins suddenly. It's why the natural hair movement became a thing. It's why y'all started pretending like you're black and you're proud suddenly, too. When y'all wanted to be biracial so bad growing up in school, and literally had people accusing me of not knowing who my daddy fucked, or the other way around, who my mama fucked or whatever. No, I think it was the other way around. I don't know. I've heard both scenarios. Oh, yeah, your mama lying to you, whatever type of stuff. Crazy crap. Because it's impossible for me to not be biracial. I have to be mixed race, right? Now suddenly everybody's so proud to be black, all these dark skin, black women empowerment channels, etc. These same people were the ones bullying you in school for having dark skin. The same people lying, going around saying, I'm half Indian, I'm half, Hispanic, whatever, my daddy Mexican, saying all this dumb shit to you, my mama white. It's a trend, right? You do whatever people do in your country. If the U.S. suddenly decides, which it seems like it's starting to kind of do a little bit, BBLs are not in style. Watch all these girls go and get that nasty crap taken out of them. Everybody gonna go back to starving themselves again, wanting to be slim. People do what they think or what they know to be in style, what they know to be acceptable, trendy, or whatever for their given country, culture, whatever. That's just life. So why is it that being in Japan, we have to highlight this and it gets caught out? And then even the assumption, Japanese people Asia did not invent bangs. They didn't invent cosplay. I said this inside a couple of videos too, before this one. Cosplay is actually from the U.S. and most characters that are cosplayed are American. And every year, statistically, the most cosplayed characters are always from American comic books, American movies. But for some reason, even although in Japanese, the word cosplay is literally written in katakana. It's a borrowed word from English, made by a Japanese man. But from where? From his time that he spent in the U.S. And he referred to it as costume play. Because you're playing around wearing a costume. 2 English words, costume and play. But for some reason, Japan runs away with credit for this. And now, anytime you wear a costume, in Japan or in the U.S., you're a weeb. Okay, so enjoying costumes makes me a weeb? Video games, who invented them? The U.S. Look it up. But when we think about nerdy stuff, video games, whatever, who gets credit for it? Japan. Now, of course, I'm not going to be a liar here. Fine. They dominate the market between, the Sony and the Nintendo company. I understand. But who invented it? Okay. It would be very weird to live in the U.S. and to completely ignore all trends, all whatever. People would laugh at you, make fun of you, think you're weird. Why? Because they wonder, okay, everybody's trying to get, thick, slim, thick, whatever, have a, big butt. All these girls buying these, tummy tees and waistbands, etc. Doing all of this stuff. Why? Because it's trending, it's in style, it's the culture there. You wear clothes, you buy handbags based off of what's in style. Birkins aren't even cute. Y'all over here wearing fake ones. It's just a style, it's trendy. I do it too. I'm not saying I'm immune to this. I'm just explaining to you. If you understand that you do it in your country, your culture, why is it shocking when somebody goes to another country and they do it there too? Not to mention, I haven't really changed my style. I wear clothes that are popular more so in the US than in Japan. The only thing that I did do that is adopting Japanese style is I started wearing long dresses. And y'all don't normally see that. I mean, I wear the outfit sometimes on camera, but you're not seeing my full body. And I seldom post full body pictures on Instagram. So with that said, you're not seeing what I'm actually wearing. So the implication that I'm dressing like a Japanese person must be implying that because I'm wearing clothes that are cute, or I'm wearing something that's light in color, so I guess seen as kawaii, or whatever the case happens to be. And again, I'm not going to assume this person necessarily meant it in a bad way, but I just want to, correct what they're saying. Because I've had bangs before I came to Japan. My first video that I showed you on my channel was me wearing bangs. The second one was me showing you my hair routine when I was coming back from, working as a pharmacy tech. In fact, look, I was wearing the same outfit, but it was a scrub in this color. But long story short, you get what I'm trying to say? Bangs are literally a flattering hairstyle for people with my face shape, with my eyes. It looks good on me. I like them. I don't care if they went out of style. It flatters me, so I will therefore wear them. It's that simple. I have a, what do they call it, peplum, whatever, peplum top or whatever. I didn't even know that ever went out of style. I saw a video talking about millennials going to the club or whatever. I was like, oh my god, like I still wear that for my interviews. I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bit embarrassed, wearing it to the last interview that I went to. And I thought to myself, why do I care about what other people think? I love this top. It looks good on me. It gives me good luck. Every time I've worn that shirt, I think maybe with the exception of one interview, which I technically got up, but they got mad at me because I technically lied to them. We're not going to get into that. In order for me to get the job, I didn't want to disclose that I had a student visa because I was trying to get somebody to sponsor my visa so I can get a work visa. But that's a whole nother story. And they knew this because they were Filipinos themselves. So, Filipinas, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm not going to get into all that type of crap. Long story short, typically when I wear that shirt, it seems like I get the job, okay? So, it's been blessed, okay? So back on subject, but being realistic, a lot of what you do is based off of what you like. I still wear skinny jeans. They're out of style. Or really jeggings, to be more specific. But it tells your age, because now, Gen Z and younger, they're not wearing that. They're wearing wide leg pants, etc. And, people's style changes based off of their country and culture. And I would argue that I more closely follow the U.S.'s style and culture than I do Japan's. So I disagree with that statement. And then on top of that, like I said, I've had bangs since before I even cared about Japan. So it has nothing to do with me trying to fit in or be like them. Being realistic, I'm going to be real with you. Yeah, of course I realize that when I wear bangs, I fit in more and it looks more normal to what they're used to seeing. But at the same time, I get more foreigner treatment when I have natural hair. And I kind of like it at times. Because, people, curly hair, people assume, you got a perm. Oh, it's your natural hair, whatever. So, kind of like both. It's a personal thing though. I don't care whether I'm in Japan or in the US. I would still keep bangs. I would still straighten my hair. Why? Because I like the way that I look with it better. So, and again, while you might not mean anything towards it, think about how you feel in the US if a white person were to say, wow, ever since your great-great-grandmother, was enslaved here in the country, you really have adapted to being an American. Look at you with your, straight red hair that you have. Is that a wig? Like, just asking, making dumb comments, and it's like, I live in the U.S., you would think, wouldn't you? How dare this white person say that? I'm an American just like you. We're sure I'm not a Japanese person, but I'm a resident of Japan. My baby is Japanese. My future children will be Japanese. It's that simple. So, Again, not angry at the person, just want to correct this. And if you see somebody saying things to us in my comment section, on somebody else's video, talking to you in real life, please correct them. People can like and enjoy things from other countries and cultures without necessarily wanting to be another race. Also, just because somebody has a style or whatever does not mean that they got influence from where they were. You don't have to live in Asia to like bangs. You all do realize that white people wore bangs prior to this whole, boom and people actually liking Asia. Because just to let you know, for those of you guys that are later Gen Z, like people that were born in 2000 and later, it was not cool to like anime in school. For those of us that are millennials or, early Gen Z maybe can relate to this too. But especially millennials, you understand. Liking Japan was lame. Like, you did not want to, be into anime, and video games are kind of okay, but, to a certain extent, that was seen as lame. It was not cool to, watch anime, to read manga. You were a loser, okay? Wanting to come to Japan. It was not popular back then. People still wore bangs, though. Bangs were a very trendy hairstyle back in the 90s, early 2000s even. People have worn them since then. They've always been a, trend in style fights in the past 100+ years. Why? Because like I said, they frame your face nicely. They add dimension. They allow your hair to be more versatile. You can wear it different ways. Think about it as a black person. We know that when we straighten our hair, it makes our hair more versatile. We can do more things with it, etc., right? That we can't do with curly hair or with more afro-like hair, with more tight coils, right? We understand that. Okay, well, as a white, Asian, or a Latina person with straight hair, you recognize that when you give yourself bangs, it changes your look. It gives, your style, it gives your hair more dimension, makes it look thicker. You can do more with your hair, etc. Okay, it's the exact same thing. It has nothing to do with wanting to be Asian. I can assure you that the white people that I grew up with and that I met and knew that had bangs back when I was a child, their parents were not thinking, I want my, baby, Abigail or Savannah to look like a Japanese girl. I love anime so much. That was not on their mother's mind. They thought to themselves, okay, giving my daughter bangs makes her hair look cute. It looks nice with pigtails, X, Y, and Z. That's what their parents thinking. It looks nice. It frames my child's face. Bowl haircuts. I think they're less popular with white people these days. But y'all know. I mean, look at Disney Channel. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Zac Efron, all of your favorite celebrities back when they were teenagers, kids of any age. What did they have? Bangs. Do we give credit to the bowl cut as somebody trying to be Japanese? Now, I don't know where the bowl cut came from. That could have came from Asia for all I know. But long story short, white people have been wearing that hairstyle forever. And I can assure you that just seeing a white guy with a bowl cut should not make you think, oh, he's trying to be Japanese. He's trying to fit in. No, it just looks nice. My husband, oh my God. I'm sorry, husband. Gotta keep it real. I do not like my husband with his old style of hair. It doesn't flatter him. I don't know how I would have felt if I met him when he was like that. Just keep it real with you. I shouldn't say this is going too far. But I can say the same thing for him. I look vastly different when I have curly hair. This sounds way too like, whoa, Ren, you really saying this? Just saying, I'm keeping it real. I look different with curly hair than I do with straight hair. And I imagine that some of the people that I dated, if they saw me with curly hair first, just like if they saw me when I was, 250 plus pounds, they might decide, I don't find this, woman to be attractive. Doesn't look good on you. Your hair completely changes the way that you look. That was not a politically correct thing to say, but I'm keeping it real. My husband used to have a short, buzzed-like haircut. And it did not look good on him at all. I love my husband with the little side part that he has going on, and it's not really a bowl cut, but you know what I mean, like the swept over look. It looks good for him. I love that on him. I even like the bowl cut hairstyle. I love my husband with bangs, having fringe, whatever. It looks nice. Without it, my husband is handsome, but I don't find that it looks good on him. Same thing goes with clothes. Clothes can make it or break it for you. I can have my hair straight and show up to a date wearing baggy, raggedy clothes, and I can make a guy decide, I don't want to have a second date with you. You're cute, but I don't want to date you again. It doesn't flatter you. I've gone on dates with curly hair, and I've literally had a guy say, oh, I like you better with straight hair. I've gone on dates with straight hair, and I've had a guy say, oh, actually, I like your curly hair better. Everybody has their own preference. Tough love, hard truth, whatever you want to call it, but that's just facts. Let me also add this disclaimer. I'm not saying that this is right or that this is wrong. I'm just saying the reality. And the truth is, I can never ask my husband. He's not going to honestly answer this. Likewise, I'm not going to honestly tell my husband directly, like, hey, I don't think you looked good like this. And if I saw you like this, I would have never, swiped right on you. Nobody's going to say that. It's hurtful. It's mean. It's cruel. I'm using him as an example because he's my spouse. I know that he'll understand my purpose in this video. But I can be honest and acknowledge that I'm still human. I don't get to live above the law. And with that said, I imagine that if I look a certain way and I shared a certain photo, that will probably result in me getting less likes, less matches, me not having as good of dates depending on how I looked. If I showed up with no makeup on, my hair all over my head, ways that I've showed up on camera here just for these YouTube videos, I would get a very different reaction from plenty of the people that I dated. And the same thing goes for men. Again, I'm not talking about what's right, what's wrong, what should or shouldn't be. Same thing for hair textures. I'd be a liar to say that I feel professional with curly hair. It's silly and stupid, and if you're not black, you can't understand it. But being honest with myself, yeah, I do normally straighten my hair to prepare for an interview. Do you need to have straight hair? No. Have I interviewed with curly hair and got the job? Yes. Do I ever feel like me having curly hair stopped me from getting the job? Not that I could think of, but also I haven't really interviewed for enough jobs with natural hair. However, I've seen people with natural hair that I work with, and I don't feel like it truly affects you in Japan per se. But I will say, being honest, if you're trying to ask and choose between the two, I would honestly advise that you do straighten your hair. Just keeping it real. Again, it's not politically correct, but it's the truth. And people can't seem to make up their mind. Do you want the truth or do you want the politically correct statement? And again, in a nutshell, what I'm really just saying here is people have the right to change anything about themselves within reason without being accused of trying to be something that they're not. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys are going to hear it, but you're going to have to forgive me for nature doing its thing in the background. There's like some hawkish sounding bird out there. But anyway, it's making me laugh. Back on subject. All I'm going to say to this is, yeah, like people like different styles, different things from different cultures. In my case, this is not me copying off of Asians, but the reality is, even if I was, so what? Like I kind of already said, wouldn't it be weird to live somewhere for a while and not want to wear and do the things that they do? That's normal. And again, I don't know whether this person meant this in a shady, backhanded way or not, but I am going to reply to it as though it was meant that way. Not per se to reply back to this person, but to the people that read this, see this, or think these type of things. Because the reality is, 99% of the time, when people do say that, that is what they're referring to. They're trying to make a backhanded compliment. They're trying to insult you. They're trying to call you a weeb, whatever the case happens to be. And I just find it really interesting that this only happens with so-called foreign women. If an Asian girl wears blonde hair, she puts in the blue contact lenses, anything else like that in the US, we don't normally refer to her as being whitewashed. We don't laugh about her, whatever. Like, fine, within the Asian community, some people might do that, but I just got through seeing a video clip of, who was that chick, Rose or whatever, the K-pop star. I had to look twice because I was like, am I looking at a white or Asian girl? And don't get me wrong, girl's pretty. I know she's had work done. But the reality is this. Let's just keep it real. Why do you think she wants that appearance? I'm just saying. Now, I'm not going to judge her for it, but I am saying, okay, like if they're allowed to, quote unquote, by your standard, look white, why can't I, by your standard, quote unquote, look Asian? And again, like I said this in a different video, but no one dismisses any form of racism or bad experiences that Asian women have, even if they are complaining about how white people stereotype them or how they got mad about the so-called fox or cat eye trend or whatever, and about how it's, Asian face or whatever they're trying to say. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, so it's okay for you to look white, but they're not allowed to, by your own standards, from your, whatever, to look like you. And like I said, I have a problem with black people doing this too. I feel like what's considered as cultural appropriation 99% of the time is not. I do not mind somebody wearing braids, dressing like a quote unquote black person. I don't care about that. My issue is when you get to the point where you're, trying to mock us and, you can make yourself quote unquote look black without doing it in a degrading, insulting type of way. Likewise, same thing for Asian. I don't see anything wrong with you liking Lolita, Harajuku, street fashion. I like those things too. I think that you can partake in those things in a respectful way. You don't have to partake in it by trying to make yourself look like a stereotypical, unattractive, ugly, whatever, Asian person, so to speak. And I feel like if that's not your intention and you're not doing that, then what you're doing is not racist, not offensive. Well, for the same thing about, what black stuff. I feel like a lot of us have been trained to feel offended by things that we don't really feel offended at, by, whatever. So, whole nother topic, completely different video to be made. But all I'm really saying here is this. It's normal to want to do the things that people in your country do. And again, nobody takes away from Asians complaining about, oh, stop Asian hate, or we don't like being fetishized, or whatever. No one says, well, you can't talk about this because you have blonde hair, or you can't talk about this until you take your circle lenses out. But for me, I have to have my hair in a freaking afro in order for me to talk about racism, because otherwise the distraction will be, well, why do you have bangs? Why is your hair straight? You're trying to look like them. Meanwhile, I've been wearing this style since I was a child. And anybody that's my age or older, you likely either had bangs or you knew several people that did. Bangs were a really big thing between the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I don't know what rock you all have been living under, because last time I checked, according to my statistics, the majority of the people that consume my content are millennials. So you all know what the hell I'm talking about. So, anyway, just had to put that out there. This is not about whether it's right or wrong. I'm telling you what people do and why they do it. I'm not saying what I do is right or wrong. I'm just saying what I did, why I did it. That simple. Whether you think it's right or wrong to try to assimilate, whether you think it's right or wrong to, as you say, culturally appropriate, whatever, is a completely different topic. But let's just be real here. Someone doing something that also exists in a country doesn't mean they got it from that country. And a lot of you guys don't even know the history of where things came from. For example, like I said, the whole otaku culture thing is not Japanese. The term is, but we Americans invented video games. That's not their invention. So why is that? Why is the branding of somebody that even plays video games and, consumes animation cartoons, why is that even associated with them when they didn't invent that? Now, granted, I know the answer. That's a rhetorical question. It's because they took it and ran with it. You could say they arguably made both better. They made, according to the public, not my own personal opinion, better video games, better TV shows. I have mixed feelings on some of those topics, but that's not what this is about. But that's the reason why they get the credit for it. And in this case, I believe because pretty much every Asian person is a stereotype, but it's kind of, look, let me just put it this way. Asians with bangs are like black people with relaxers prior to 2010. It was pretty much unheard of to find a black person. You would not be able to go the entirety of your day where you literally was like, I can count the people that have, straight hair, so to speak, like how it is today. Now, when you see people with straight hair, I would argue 80 to 90% of the time you're looking at a wig or braids. Like, you're not looking at natural hair. Back when I was going to school, everyone had a perm. The people without perms, you were basically the poor kids in class because your parents couldn't afford the maintenance, or you had really strict parents, or I'm just going to keep it real. Oftentimes, the only kids that didn't have perms, either you were poor or you had quote unquote good hair, so your parents didn't feel the need to relax your hair. I was kind of in a mix of both of those categories. Yes, my hair was perceived as quote unquote good. For the Asian and white people don't understand this. In the black community, if you have loose curls, which loose is defined as 3C and above, you're seen as having good hair. That's how they define it. AKA because it looks like you're biracial, mixed race, whatever. This stems back from slavery. That's a whole nother topic. But that wasn't the reason why for me in my household. I didn't have a relaxer because I grew up poor. So I didn't have the ability to get my hair relaxed. My mother had a relaxer as a child, and she talked about how it damaged her hair. My older sisters had relaxers, it damaged their hair. So my mother did not allow me to relax my hair. I literally actually stole a relaxer and tried to put it in my own hair, and I did not do it right, thank God. So that's a whole nother story. But just explaining to you that, yeah, with that said, I didn't have one, but it wasn't for that reason. So my point is, everybody had them though. Everybody had the same style. And a lot of the people that had straight hair also wore bangs. Black people, until recently, did not have a thing for Asian women or Asian men. That was unheard of. We made fun of them, we laughed at them. And if you get mad about that, well, they did the same, and they still do the same to us to this day. They categorize us as gangsters, criminals, and at best,
you're a prostitute or you could be used for your BBC. That's the way that they view you. Just keeping it real. I'm talking about unpolitically correct real life being black back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. This is not feel good information right here. I'm telling you the truth. With that said, we still had banks. It's not because we wanted to look like them. It was just a style and trendy. And you can say, oh, it was a trend brought from Asia. I'm not going to lie. I don't know where bangs became, when, where, why they took off in the US back in the 80s and 90s. I don't know who was the person that made it take off. But the reality is, let's give them credit. Let's say some random Chinese American had bangs and everyone decided it's the must-have hairstyle based on her. Do you know that the Chinese still did not invent bangs? Thus, nothing that you say now even matters in regards to that. Can we stop attributing everything to being from them? That's not from them? Do you know that even ramen is not even Japanese? It's Chinese. So, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. I'm just explaining that this needed to be commented on because there is a double standard. And also, while you may not have meant it this way, a lot of people say stuff like that to me and other people in order to discredit things that they have to say and in order to make it sound like, oh, you're not comfortable with who you are. You don't want to be yourself. You're anti-black. And this also brings you back into even the dating outside your race thing. So it's okay, if anybody is in an interracial relationship or international relationship, you're immediately a passport bro. No matter what. And it's you all do realize that people had interracial, international, inter whatever marriages way before their little stupid YouTube channel or movement existed. I never even knew what that was until somebody came in my comment section and was talking about the passport bros. I didn't even know what that was. I had to look that up to figure out what the hell is that. Not everybody lives online, as the young people say, chronically, like how you do. You may only be doing this for that reason, but that ain't got shit to do with me. I came to Japan as a tourist with the purpose in going to school, got a student visa, worked and lived on my own for a while, and then I finally got married. And I can assure you, I am not blinded like how most people are. I literally was making years worth of dating content about what I don't do and what I don't put up with. I have never been the type of person where it's oh, as soon as I find the first Japanese man, I gotta marry because they're all perfect and they're all rich and they're all this type of... I have never told you guys that on my channel, and you know damn well I have not. I've been very straightforward, very matter of fact, very direct with what you should and should not do in dating. I've even shared my own faults and mistakes that I made. So get out of here with that. But anyway, just explaining how now it's become this fallacious argument of anything that you say. It's but you're married to a Japanese man. You can't talk on this. So I can't speak on racism because my spouse is Japanese? Huh? That doesn't make any sense. You being married outside of your race does not mean that people of the race that people that you're married to are not racist. Likewise, a black man that's married to a white woman does not mean that racism doesn't exist anymore because, hey, look, this black guy married a white woman. She possibly is not racist. But that doesn't mean her family isn't. That doesn't mean her friends are not. This one relationship, this one family, this one, community of people that you think are not a certain way doesn't mean everybody isn't. The best way that I can even describe this, even though it's not quite exactly the right fallacy for this, but it's essentially guilt by association. So because you are married to someone that is not the same race as you, you cannot speak on racism because you're a part of the problem, is how they perceive it. You do not have to be married to somebody within your race in order to not be a racist or hate yourself. It's stupid. And again, I feel like the standard only exists from the black side of things. As a black person, you cannot marry outside, and God forbid you're a black woman. You cannot marry outside your race. Otherwise, everything you say needs to be completely discredited and ignored. Because who cares what you have to say? If you really felt that way, then why didn't you marry a black man? Or in this case, if you like yourself, why isn't your hair curly? If you're really okay with being black. Are black women not allowed to change their hair texture? Because last time I checked, most white and Asian women curl their hair. So, do they hate themselves? Most white women tan their skin. Does that mean they hate themselves? Most Asian women bleach their skin. But if you ask them, though, they'll say that they're proud to be Asian. They'll say that they're proud to be white. But as a black person, it's just laughable and comical if you make any change to yourself. And I'm not fully in support of those things. Bleaching, nose jobs, etc. I'm just saying the double standard. All forms of fashion that are even things that are considered Japanese fashion, Harajuku fashion, etc. A lot of that stuff is just borrowed stuff that's been thrown together, or not even thrown together, where it's actually a rip off of quote unquote white fashion. I honestly don't know who invented this, and I want to say it's actually Germany or France or somewhere else, but the whole little emo gothic look, I'd have to look into that a little bit, the whole grunge or whatever look, or is it London? I forget. Wherever it comes from. But that's not Japanese. But people consider that to be a part of Japanese street fashion. So my point is just this. A lot of things that you all think people are taking from Japan or that they got inspired from Japan on or they're trying to look Japanese, they're just wearing the same old trendy stuff that people wore back in the 90s, early 2000s, and the 80s. And for the ones who are doing it or that got it from Japan, okay, so what? are people not allowed to do that? Does that take away from what they said or what they did? Not to my knowledge. I'm just saying. I mean, the only world in which that would matter is if I made a video saying, I don't know, Asian fashion and style is ugly, or Asian hairstyles are ugly, and then I spend the whole video talking about how horrible their hairstyles are and how horrible their fashion is, and then meanwhile I'm wearing clothes that I got in Japan, and I'm dressing like whatever the in style thing is in Japan, like Japanese person, and I'm wearing the hairstyle that I had in that video, with bangs and straight hair. Then I can see how it's like, do you look at yourself in the mirror? But me telling you about how somebody mistreated me that was Asian and how they were racist towards me, how does me having a quote, as you say, Asian hairstyle, take away from the racism that I experienced? It doesn't. It's a fallacious argument. You're making a distraction. So, anyway, that's that. Just wanted to clarify. I'm not talking about what's right, what's politically correct. I'm telling you, this is what people do. This is why they do it. If people live somewhere for a while, most people are going to copy what the locals do. That goes from using the same things that they like, going the same places that they go, wearing the same. That's probably one of the first things people do is to change the way they dress when they go somewhere different. For example, I found myself wearing dresses more than I had ever done in my entire life upon moving to Japan. Americans wear dresses too, but in Japan, I would argue that most women around you, I won't say most, maybe about 48% of women are wearing dresses and skirts, and the rest are wearing pants. Might even be more than that, like I was initially going to say. Let me just put it this way, a lot of women are wearing dresses. With that said, I felt a little bit out of place when I had on pants. Jeans are also not so much commonly worn. People normally wear, what do they call those, chino pants or whatever, like those balloon pants that people be having on? People normally wear things like that, maxi skirts, etc. Regular American jeans aren't all that popular. With that said, okay, naturally, you're going to want to wear the same things that they wear. It's just the way that life goes. If everybody has a certain haircut, guess what? As a man, if you have the hair texture to do it, that is, you're going to get the same haircut as them. It's human nature. Same thing goes in the US. It was a trend, in the 2010s or whatever, early 2010s, to get the mohawk haircut. Guess what? When that trend went away, now it's hard to find someone with it. And now if you have it, they laugh at you. Remember that spiked up hair look where it's just a little swoop spike in the front that white guys used to have? Well, guess what? Now when they show pictures and videos of people with that cut, people laugh at it, call them old, call the hairstyle stupid. But that was the it look that every dude wanted to have. Just saying. So, I'm done. Back to the video.
And everyone's preference is not based off of I won't say what other people think per se, but rather where they are. You just like certain things because you realize they look better and best on you. For example, myself, I live in Japan and the trend is to be super thin. I need to lose some weight. I've gained weight, like I said. However, I'm going to keep it real with you. I have no desire to ever be thin. By Japanese standards, I always want to be fat. And even by American standards, I wouldn't mind being a little bit, overweight. I don't want to be thin. Why? I can't imagine myself being thin for starters. I don't think it would look good on me. And on top of that, I like to eat food. I want to enjoy my life. Exercise is fine. I enjoy it. But I don't want to have to be in the gym 7 days a week in order to enjoy a slice of pizza. That's not the type of lifestyle that I want to have. If you do, great for you. It takes power, hard work, dedication. You're a strong person. I'm recognizing that just is not where I'm strong at. I can't do that. I love food. So with that said, I don't care that I'm in Japan. I will forever want to be a certain, amount overweight. That's just me. When I go to the U.S., are you going to say now, oh, being in America really made you change? Look at you, you gain, 20 pounds, and look, you got a BBL. And it's like, no, my body's natural. I didn't gain weight because it's cool in the U.S. I gained weight because I didn't control myself. I was fat and I wanted to binge eat. I've had bangs before I came to Japan. Some of the clothes that I had, I didn't even buy in Japan. I got them from the U.S. They're not from some kawaii company, whatever, from Forever 21. Shein, whatever, nowadays. So that's it. I can just go and rant forever. I'm almost at an hour. I just want to say again, because I got all over the place throughout this video. Different styles look different on different people. People recognize that styles and things, even from different cultures, can be more flattering on them as a person. That's just facts. It's not a matter of wanting to be Asian, wanting to be whatever. And if you listen to my videos, you hear me talk about that all the time. So I don't even know where this idea comes from. And we don't say that to black women. We understand the same to black women in the U.S. that having straight hair does not mean that you hate your race or that you're being influenced by the white people in your country. Do we look at it that way? No. Some people do. But nowadays we understand that that's a, ignorant comment. If somebody said it to Beyonce, y'all be all up in her comment section defending her choice for wearing her hair, like I did just recently with her wearing the blonde hair. That's just facts. You would defend her to death. It's a choice. Maybe she does prefer the way that she looks with lighter skin. Maybe she does like lighter hair colors, lighter eye colors. She wears contacts too. It's a personal preference. Maybe she thinks she looks better with light hair. Think about it, her signature hair color is basically a sandy-ish blonde or light brown color wig. That's not her hair color. She wears contacts too. That's not her eye color. A lot of your faves do. I like Nicki Minaj as well. You want to know what? Nicki Minaj, she wears contacts. She changes her hairstyle, hair color, whatever. And let's keep it real. Most black people, what do? You want to make sure that you have good lighting. And if lighting makes you look darker than you really are, you probably won't post that photo, won't post that video. I'm going there. People don't talk about that. It's the truth. You have a preference for how you want to look in your mind. You recognize that you look better, maybe at a certain shade, maybe with a certain hair length, etc. Which is why we buy weave, wigs, etc., extensions. It's why we wear makeup. You contour your nose. You make your eyes look more, slanted, angular, smaller, whatever the crap you do. Why is that? It's not necessarily because you want to be a white person, is it? No. You're doing what's trendy and what's in style. And, get this, you're doing what looks good on you. You recognize, wow, I actually look a lot better when my hair is straight. I like the way I look this way. I get more compliments. I think I look better when I look at myself in the mirror. I'm not going to go into the whole morality side of it, whether it's right or wrong, or whether it's sad or not. I'm just speaking facts. You can see nobody wants to say this because it's not politically correct. But it's the truth. People have been wearing bangs before it was cool to come to Japan. Before there was ever J-vloggers. Before any of this stuff existed, people have been wearing bangs, I can assure you. Japan did not invent cosplay. Japan did not invent bangs. Some people do choose to wear cosplay and to wear bangs because they get influenced by the culture here. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not gonna bash you for it. Don't forget who you are. But there's nothing wrong with that. You can enjoy something from a different culture. I gave the example before. White people, Asian people would be very offended if you were to and I could think of somebody right off the top of my head right now, and I ain't gonna say the name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. If you stay on YouTube and Instagram for any length of time, you've probably come across at least a couple, if not a few, Asian influencers who you gotta look twice because at first, like, is that a white girl? Or you see this Asian person, but it's very obvious that they're trying to look white, as you would say, right? They have the blonde hair, they're wearing blue contacts, they're wearing the, circle lenses, whatever. They're dressing like a white girl or an American girl, whatever you want to call it. It's natural. If you're living in the U.S., whether you're second, third generation, or first, naturally, you're going to be influenced and feel the need to cave into peer pressure, so to speak, and you're going to want to look like the women around you. Not to mention, a part of being in another country and living in another culture, you find things that you truly like that you would still do back in your home country. That you would still do, let's say this is your home country in the U.S., that you would still do outside of high school when you grow up. I think of skinny jeans as an example of that. I started wearing them because it was not cool to wear my bootcut Walmart pants anymore. And everybody was wearing skinny jeans. Okay, so what did I do? Well, when I was in 7th grade, I started asking my mom to buy me skinny jeans. I no longer wanted to wear my bootleg pants anymore. Bootcut, whatever the freak call them. I think it's bootleg. Bootcut. Bootleg means like illegal. Might as well have been that. My faded glory pants. You get what I'm trying to say? So again, sure, you might have started doing something because of that culture, but then that's also assuming. I didn't start wearing bangs because of Japan. I wanted to look like one of my friends at school. Then later on, I got inspired by Nicki Minaj when I was in 8th grade. 2 or 3 years later. That's what happened. Nothing to do with Japan. Nothing to do with Asia, period. If I wanted to look like a Japanese girl, the first way to start is to lose some damn weight. Which that I do need to do, but I mean, come on, if they invent weight loss too? Because trust me, that they have the most effective approach. They just don't eat. And skip meals, don't eat, just eat rice and miso soup type stuff. They do some extreme diet type stuff. But that's a whole other story. So they do everything but exercise, which I find very interesting. They don't like working out. You will rarely see a woman at the gym here. Like, it's maybe, and when you go to the gym, there's normally never more than 2 women at any given time, unless your gym is like absolutely like freaking huge. But even big gyms, typically there may be no girls or a girl, and normally it's some beefy chick that a Johnny Bravo style woman that lifts men for a living. And clearly does not want to be inside a relationship with a man. But we ain't finna get into that. I'm not being politically correct and keeping it real with you. It's not a thing here in Japan. So, I'm done, y'all. Do what you want to do with your life. I understand this probably didn't come from a hateful place, but please be mindful and respectful. Everything that you see people doing does not mean that they were influenced by another country or another culture. It could be very much indeed from their own country and culture. Like I said, I grew up around white people that had bangs, had bowl cuts, watched Disney Channel. Plenty of white characters had that. Reading 17 magazine. Whole articles in the magazine telling you which style bangs look best for your face shape. Not a single one of them was how to look like an anime character. Now, of course, as I got older, I started seeing, this is actually a better way to cut my hair. In fact, I could be honest, I got inspired for how, I cut my own hair by the way, I got inspired for how to cut my own bangs from watching a video that was teaching you how to cut hair for a cosplay wig, and it worked perfectly for my natural hair. I've been using that method to this very day. It's just that simple. But is that why I have bangs? No. Do I like kawaii clothing? Yeah, I do, and I did learn that from looking at videos of, Japanese, Chinese, Korean fashion, whatever. I did learn about that, and I started liking that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But these are things that I also liked before I came to Japan. And even if you started liking them after being in Japan, that's okay too. But I really just want to attack the idea that you're doing stuff to not be black, or because you don't like your blackness, you don't like yourself, whatever. And also the idea that you can't talk about racism or issues if you're not looking like a black person. So for example, right now I have my curly hair, right? So now I can talk about black issues and nobody's going to complain because my hair is curly. They're going to be like, oh, get your nigger loving ass back to the US. All right, cool. But if I straighten my hair and I'm talking about the stuff, and not just straighten, but God forbid I straighten it and I wear my bangs, then it's going to be like, you want to be a Japanese girl so bad, typing in my comment section. And then it's like, okay. So apparently I have to have curly hair to state facts about something racist that I experience. And if my hair is straightened, that discredits a real life factual experience that took place. Debatable is emotions. That's an opinion piece. But factual is what somebody said or did. This person called me the N-word. Did they or did they not? The answer is yes. Does me having bangs or curly hair change what they said? No. They made the statement. Now you can argue that they might not have called me that depending on... Sorry, my dryer went off. One of the great things about being married to somebody that got money, y'all, we got a washer and dryer 2 in 1. And in Japan, that is not a common thing, okay? Before y'all get started, like, okay, I got one in my house. In Japan, those are money moves, people, right? But back on subject. Anyway... My husband gonna be here soon. But alright, let me get back on subject. I'm about to end this video. I'm at over an hour now. It just blows my mind that, people think that everything that people do is a matter of them wanting to not be themselves. A part of being yourself is finding things that you like to create your own self-image, to create yourself. It's fun. The world would be very boring if we didn't enjoy and embrace other people's, countries, cultures, languages, etc. That's just facts. There's a difference between liking something and disrespecting it. We're not going to get into the whole cultural appropriation thing because I made a video about that too. And before you get started, white people, for those of you who want to be ignorant with this, and Asian people, if that's where you want to go to, I don't speak for all black people, but I speak for myself. And I do speak for what I think black people should do and what the definition really originally meant, which got taken out of proportion. It is not cultural appropriation to like, enjoy, to wear, to style even your hair a way that is predominantly used for a certain race. The problem is when you pretend like you are the one who invented it, and when you pretend like, or not even pretend like, well, when there's double standards placed. For example, a white woman can wear dreads to work, but a black woman, oh, that doesn't look right, it's unprofessional, whatever. That would be something that's an issue. I don't have an issue with somebody choosing to braid their hair. I mean, it's not really ideal for a white person to, excuse my voice cracking. It's not really ideal for a white person to, wear braids or whatever, because, your hair is not made for it. It's probably going to hurt your scalp because you're not used to it, this, that, and the other. But, hey, you do you. But at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with people tanning their skin very dark. It becomes problematic when you're trying to make yourself intentionally look like a black person and in a comical way. That's where it becomes an issue. All the sensitivity over, oh, don't wear this fashion, it's for black girls. I'm not into all of that crap. But again, I don't speak for everyone. I'm just a regular black woman telling you my own 2 cents. So, I'm done. I can rant forever. I hope you all got what I was trying to say. Long story short, as I said 1,000,000 times, let people do what they want to do. Why do you care why they're doing it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I did get inspired from Japan. Like I said, that's okay too. But I just want to address it. Actually, I didn't. I've had bangs before I was making YouTube videos. I had bangs before I even had interest in ever leaving the U.S. Because back when I was a child, I had no interest in ever leaving Chicago. I wanted to stay there, live there, die there. And then when I got a little bit older, I considered, living in New York. I even thought about wanting to live in Los Angeles, but didn't have, thought in my mind, oh, I want to live in Japan until I was an adult. I was, a teen adult. I think I was 18, 19 years old when I finally decided that I really do want to live in Japan. So, but that's it. That's all, you all. Like I said, think about it in the U.S. You would find that to be insulting, ignorant, and annoying for somebody to comment on the fact that you like American things as a black person in the U.S. because you're like, okay, I live here. I should. It'd be weird if I was eating, I don't know, Nigerian food as somebody that's not a, direct, immigrant from Nigeria, but, my ancestors were from, I don't know, four or five generations ago. Of course, I'm an American. Of course, I eat American food. Of course, I wear American clothes. Of course, I don't have an accent. I'm the same as you. But that's how I feel when I see comments like this. I've been living here for nearly a decade. I don't care if I was here for just a year. Why would I purposefully want to go against the grain of what everyone else is doing? I just so happen to have and like some things that they do. For example, I just so happen to have had bangs for years, okay? I came to Japan when I was 20. I have been wearing bangs for about a decade at that point. I have pictures to back it up. I have friends that went to school with me from the time when I had bangs, and they can also back that up in the comment section too. That's just facts. Sorry, not from Japan. But also sorry for those of you that did do, because let's keep it real, most foreigners do have bangs, etc. I wrote about this before. I'm going to keep it real with you. They did change their style to fit in with Japanese people. I've grown, I'm matured, and being honest, I don't find a problem with it. It's human nature. Why would you not want to? Why would you purposefully want to stand out? Even in the US, I'm not talking about that, oh, the nail that sticks out gets hammered in. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in general. You want to do what's cool. Most of you would have never worn your hair natural to school as a black woman in the US. Even although you went to school, mostly black kids, if not all. Why? Because you didn't want to stand out. Everybody had a perm. Here I am with so-called good hair, and can you believe it? I wanted a relaxer as a child. Why? Not because somebody told me to get one. It's because everyone around me had one. My friends praised my hair. Oh, I wish I had your hair. You got that good hair. You mixed, you Hispanic. Your mama must be white. Oh, I heard all this stuff. And those were compliments back then. Okay, shoot, they still are now. But now you got to be, undercover. People won't say it online, but they'll tell you in real life. Or they'll just be hating and bitter towards you because they think you're mixed. I didn't want my hair to be straight because I was being bullied. I just noticed everyone in my classroom got straight hair except for me and that lame ass, bitch over there. Just keeping it real with you. So naturally, what did that make me want? I wanted to fit in and be like everybody else. Here in Japan, I'm going to keep it real with you. Most of the black women that you see here, they got bad wigs, like how I used to. They got bad wigs, even worse than mine, believe it or not. Or they got bad braids, one or the other, 90% of them. Is that really any better? And then also, let's keep it real, what type of styles do they normally get when they wear these wigs in Japan? Normally hairstyles that look what? More Eurocentric. Why? Are we going to say it's because Japanese people prefer white people over black? I ain't going to go there. But like I said, think about that next time that you all say something about my style, my whatever choices. So, I'm done. I don't care. I am married. My husband is Japanese. My baby is Japanese and American. And my future children will be also. So, I'm through with this video. Hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say. Please leave a comment down below. Please like this video. And as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy these rants and want to hear more long content like this, please consider signing up and supporting me on Patreon. It's only $5 per month. I upload videos there pretty much every month. I have some breaks every once in a while. But upload new content there pretty much on a monthly basis. So if you're ever wondering where I am when I go on a break, I'm probably on Patreon. I have updates that'll always be posted there. The content there will never be posted and shared publicly on YouTube. So if you want to get to know me more, hear more about my personal thoughts and my life, please support me there on Patreon. And beyond just free content, well, content as a gift for you signing up and paying the $5 per month, you also are supporting my channel. It helps me to be able to make content here on YouTube. I receive most of my money from Patreon. I am a small creator, so keep that in mind too. So if you enjoy my content, you want me to continue making videos, please consider supporting me there. If you're an old member from Patreon, you are welcome to come back. Please sign up again. I would love to have you back. And yeah, I guess that's all for this video. So as always, please also follow me on my social media. Everything is linked down in the description box below, as well as at the end of this video. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll watch another video.